name of the event today is Decoding CX Summit. But if you ask me customer experience, that's really the outcome or the end goal. But in terms of how do we reach that outcome or the output per se is the function of how do we collect our input. And that is where analytics really comes and plays a great part. We heard the panelists say about 60 to 70% data which we collect is unused, not never seen. Surbit was talking about that there are thousands of insights. It's really about picking up those insights. So what I'll be talking about more today in the session is really that input which will drive the CX for us. Even before getting into it, I'd like to start with this particular image. This is a particular image. Any inputs on what do you think after looking at this image? Anyone? So I'll go about what I think about this image. So I see this is an Instagram post of someone as a lady who's possibly healthy, fit, and doing a great headstand. Now, if I look at this, there's an insight which I have drawn basis this. But is it really the outcome I'm looking at? And that is really where I'm talking about how Adobe Analytics and Customer Journey Analytics comes in. Because it is not just knowing about what you see, it is really about understanding the overall context. And this is the actual picture which I built it out. It's actually, someone supporting her, but the way it has been clicked in, you maybe possibly think, that's a headstand and a great effort being done. So that's really where analytics comes in giving that complete 360-degree view, whether, it's your online channels or your offline channels.
I think, what we are doing, I think we have seen so many presentations since we started out. I think it's time to, rather than looking at more presentations, and we also, all of us are, I think, waiting for dinner to be served, right? Why don't we jump into real action and feel how the platform actually looks like, what exactly, we have been talking about customer journey analytics, Adobe Analytics and all these solutions, right? Why don't we get into the solution and see what these solutions are like, right? That's, I think, let's do that. But even before we get into the solution, right, I want to start off with not talking about capabilities, right? So rather than making it a capability-based discussion, why don't we make it a customer problem or customer challenges-based discussion? Because whenever we do these demos for our customers, right, whenever we have all these interactions, what we see is, right, so there are certain specific areas that kind of interests them more, right? And the idea is not to talk about capabilities, but make it very specific. Because what I have been noticing, right, we have a lot of executives here who might have used these platforms, but they are not able to kind of, I feel, relate to, because for you it's all business challenges and what we are talking about, certain capabilities, right? So let's switch gears a little bit and start talking about some of these capabilities, right? And with that, I think the first one, which I feel is very important, if we look at any analytic solution, right? One of the key things, and then especially for a decision maker or a CXO, right? When they look at getting any analytic solution for their company, what is the key thing that they're looking out, right? I think there have been talk about that you have to enable the teams, right? Because the tool in itself is not simple and easy to use, right? So I think the first thing that I would want to ask and maybe talk about is that if we talk about this solution, Adobe Analytics, right? How easy it is for customers to use. They have to run some analysis.
So great stuff, Ketab. I'll take this challenge head on. I had a couple of slides. I'll skip that. I'll jump straight into the platform and let's solve some of the business problems what customers are facing day in day out. So just coming and starting off, this is how the Adobe Analytics interface looks like. I have a report which has certain products which are listed. So it could be the products you sell or the units you have. What are the visits, unique visitors, or typical metrics and product views and cart additions. Let me add a business metric around it, which is online leads. And you were talking about the ease of use. So I think there's a fine differentiator between familiarity, people who have been seeing a product for a long time, and the ease of use. So with just dragging this around and adding it as a column, what I'm able to get is quickly what are the online leads. Now this is high level data. Let me quickly talk about the first product which is out there. Where exactly people are coming from, which device they are coming from when they are looking at the first product. So I have an attribute which is there, which is talking about the device type. So what I'll do is I will just drag this and I can drop it over any product I'm looking at. I can also drop it over multiple products. So let me just do that. And as soon as I put this over the first product, immediately I can see across all metrics. Others is nothing but desktop because the event I've taken is mobile device type. Then it is giving me how many people are coming from a mobile phone. Now let me take it more granular and tell you how easy it is to find granular insights. Now I want to understand which mobile phone they are coming from. So I have a metric called mobile manufacturer. Let me draw this and drop it over mobile aspect. So suddenly I know, majority, 70% of my customers are coming from an Apple device. 8.4% are coming from a Samsung device. Now we have some guests, from Samsung out here. So maybe let me check which particular mobile device in Samsung they are coming from. So all I need to do is, come here and drop this metric. And what you can see out here is, which particular device they are coming from. So as you can see, just by dragging and dropping so easily, I've done one level, second level, third level, and fourth level of bifurcation and filtering. And I can get a lot of insights, as I keep doing this and so on. Now, this is one business problem we are solving. The second one I'll quickly talk about is conversion rates. I think everyone in the business, any marketing channel you're looking at, any product you're looking at, you always ask, what is the conversion rate for this product? What is the conversion rate for this channel? What I'll do is, I'll just remove a couple of metrics so that this view looks more simplistic and say I want to understand how many people, what is the conversion rate when people add something to a cart and they complete an order, which is their leads in this case. So all I need to do is, select the metrics I'm looking at and I can create a calculated metric from this. I have some basic operations out here, but I can open this in a calculated metric builder and I can say, conversions from cart. And I want maybe a percentage out here, I just put a percent here and I want a decimal number out here, right? And I actually need to divide it the opposite way, which is online leads upon cart additions and save it. And in real time, what you see is in my metrics, I have this conversion from cart created out here. And as and when I just drag and drop it, there's an instant insight in terms of, how my products are performing. It's not just the first product, but the whole bifurcation I did, you can get a complete conversion rate around it.
Interesting. I think this is really interesting. So what you are saying, and I think all of you would agree to it, that it's all drag and drop to the interface, right? It's if you can relate to the pivot tables that you see in Excel, you select the dimensions, you select the metrics. And I think what I like even more, right? Most of the analytics platform do not allow you to have these custom matrices, and this is important because if we talk about having some of these things inside your analytics platform, then you can measure all these performance related matrices very nicely, right? But I think this is still good, right? Why don't we talk about another business use case and problem? And I think I'll also open up to all of you. If you have any specific areas that you would want to ask Rachit, I'm trying my best to come up with queries for it. But you can any which way take mic and ask any questions. But I think the next important aspect which we come across a lot is marketing attribution, right? And why that is important, because companies do spend a lot of on media, right, where they are spending on Facebook, Google, and all these different channels, right? And at the end of the day, they would want to understand that after spending all these, after doing all these spends on different channels, what they are getting at the end of the day, right? And more importantly, right, especially the customers who are doing multiple campaigns, the attribution actually becomes a key, right? So that's it. Can you maybe show us that? Can the platform help us, doing such analysis where we can understand what's working for the customers and what's not working?
Absolutely, I'll take that second challenge on as well. And attribution is something very much of interest. And just to solve this particular problem, we have a feature within Adobe Analytics which talks about Attribution Iq, which is the AI/ML capabilities are productionized. So as an analyst, as a marketer, you don't really have to go behind the science of it. You just give in your inputs and the product will do its magic. And just to call out, I'll build this out again, say we select online leads. as a success metric again. And this is where you talked about, spending on Facebook, Google, and different channels. I can simply go and select what my marketing channel is. And this is one of the key differentiators. We typically see, first touch, last touch. Very recently, people have been talking about data-driven, but in actuality, it's hardly used. So with Adobe Analytics, we get 10 different models out here. So, it's not just last touch, first touch. I can select any number of models which I'm looking at and, build out an attribution report. I can even do a custom one or an algorithmic one. Let me do a custom one and let me, give the starting channel, say a 40% weightage, any middle channel which comes in with the 20 and ending with a 41 again. And I need to define when I am doing this attribution. So a look back window of 30 days, 60 days. Let me take 30 days as an example. And when I build this out, what comes is a report which gives you a great summary in terms of attribution. So this is a report which is for the last month, the entire month. These are the total leads which came in. I'll draw your attention to this particular table. Now you have the metric you selected in the last touch attribution model, in your first touch attribution model, and the other models I selected. And across these channels, you can clearly see a great insight out here. While paid search, almost 66% of the credit is being given to last touch, and you're paying to your Google, Facebook, and other spends in terms of attributing it. But it's actually from a first touch perspective. When a user first came and interacted with your brand, they came only 40% of the traffic came through paid search. And this is where display as a channel. So a lot of times I hear marketers say display does not give me conversions. But if you change and look at from a first touch or a linear touch model, display is actually giving you close to 30% first touch, conversion rates. But if I look at last touch, they're almost half. So this is general behavior of users when, they see a lot of ads, they may not click on it at that point of time, they'll come back again and do something. And this is where we have a great inciting report on channel overlaps. So as a marketer, which channels I'm spending on, where I'm spending my monies, I can see that there's a huge overlap between, the display leads and this particular search lead. So basis my strategy. Do I want to drive awareness? Do I want to drive conversions? You can really understand and build your media mix where you're spending your monies and so on. So this is where attribution comes in, and I'd like to add one more part, Ketavid. It's not just marketing channels. In Adobe, you can do attribution on any dimension. So say on your form or lead page or an order page, there are 5 or 6 entry points. You can search about a product, you can see a banner and click on it, you can scroll down on the home page and there's a link of the widget. So there are multiple entry points. Which point is giving you the insight that this user is clicking on this particular link and then giving out the lead. So this is where a great, I just select page here, and from a UI UX perspective, it's a great input for product teams to design their website, apps, and how the journey should look.
Interesting. So what we are saying is that the attribution, while I talked about marketing channels, right? But at the end of the day, we can extend it to other things. Like you gave an example of page, but while I think we have a lot of internal campaigns running, right? Retail companies do a lot of internal campaigns. I think everyone does it, right? And then maybe we can reuse it. But this is still, I would say, very common that it's like a functionality that's been in the market for some time. Why don't I make it a little more complicated for you, right? We have whatever we have seen up to this point of time. We are just talking about digital matrices, digital marketing channels, right? And if you look at the customers that we have, right, and the customers that we work with, their journeys span beyond digital, which means there are call centers, there are stores, right? Now this has been one of big question for us that hey Ketav, how can we actually get a view beyond my digital journey? How the journeys are spanning beyond what we are seeing in the digital ecosystem, right? So how can we go about that? Is something can be done on that front?
Absolutely, and I think that was exactly the slide I was talking about when you came in and interrupted me for a challenge. So what I'll do is show it to you on the platform itself. So what we have is customer journey analytics we were all talking about, right? And what I wanted to show you, this is a replica of a retail customer at Adobe. I've just taken their dashboard out. I haven't built it, it's already built. But it gives you a complete view of not just your online channels, but also your offline channels, just to call out. And this is a single view you are getting it. Whether it's the mobile or the web, what business is being done from these channels, or in store you were talking about, or the call center, and then I can summarize how my offline, online, week on week performances is going. I can, because I'm getting all the data from your call centers, your in stores, I can do further analysis like why are people calling me on the call center? Is it for a payment related aspect? Is it some feedback? Is it related invoice? What coupons they are using on which store, and so on and so much more. So it's not just like your BI visualization tools where you write scripts and have a static visualization. This is all user friendly. I can drag and drop any metric, just I was showing you, build out segments, filter it, and you have all those analysis on your tips.
So, Richard, while this looks interesting and you talked about this is not like a BI platform, but even still now, right, if you would ask me, forget about writing the queries part, but what I see is that, we just removed queries out of it and have brought the intelligence of workspace, which you have seen already, right? We select the dimensions and then, we can create all these nice reports. By any chance, and I think what would be more interesting, that instead of just having these data pointers lying in silos, what would be better is, and I think I was just looking at one of the metrics, people metric, maybe we can talk about that, but I think what would be even more interesting for companies is to actually stitch this journey across all these touch points that we are talking about. So can we actually see that view, because that is one of the views that is most sought to at this point of time, and I think I'm not aware of any solution where you can do it in an interactive interface.
Absolutely, and I think I have all the right material out here in terms of the challenges you are throwing at me. So we have something called as a flow report for all your online and offline channels put together. And this is one journey of a campaign. This was an entry channel where how people entered on our web, different digital channels. So there's a campaign which has gone out on different channels. It started on an email, Facebook, mobile, paid search, and this campaign was spread across online. And these are the different campaigns which are there. There's a get 20% off, or you visit the store and get something off, or a weekend sale. And post that, if someone has seen this on an email, what they're doing as an action is taking the 20% off on a mobile phone, or they're going to the website and availing that offer, or they're going into the in-store, and this is where, or they're calling the call center. This is where you can analyze the flows, attribute exactly how your traffic is moving and what product they're moving, and this can be built upon as well. I see 4 layers out here, you can continue building this. So that's really the power of journeys. And you talked about people metrics. So I think this is very interesting. What I'll do is, take everyone's attention to this metric. For the longest time, we have heard about visits and unique visitors, or unique visitors. But unique visitors, if I come from a Google Chrome, I'm one unique visitor. If I come from a Safari browser, I'm a second unique visitor. If I come from any other device, I'm a third unique visitor. This is where we marry the different data put together, and have introduced a metric called as people metric, which really identifies that this is the same person coming from different devices, different browsers, and we're able to stitch that user information. And there you have it, a complete attribution of what the user is doing, interacting on mobile, call center, in store, or web. Is that what you were looking for, Gita?
Yeah, definitely. And this is really interesting. And guys, I don't know if you have seen something like this before. I'm sure you might have not. But in case you have any questions around this, because this is, I find it really interesting that, we are going beyond the digital boundaries and now able to combine the data from different sources. But I think with having more data, Rachit, and please feel free to interrupt me if you have any questions. But while we have this data from all these different sources, right, this actually creates another problem if you would ask me, right? Now we have data sources more than one, right? So we used to have digital as one source. Now we have, stores, we have mobile apps and all these other data sources that we can think of, which basically is leading to, having more dimensions and more matrices, right? Analytics, we had 100, and, store will have 10, 15 dimensions more. And the number of dimensions and matrices are increasing, which means that if I have to do analysis, understanding why my orders are going up or down, I have to, instead of looking at 5 or 10 or 50 dimensions, now it's 4x or 5x of the same, right? Which means to do the same analysis, I would have to spend a lot more time, right? So what about that? Can we bring that time down somehow? Because I think that's the next problem that will come up.
Absolutely, and I think that is again where human intervention can only do so much, and we need to fall back again on our AI/ML capabilities for a productionized feature, which will save the analyst time. That why something happened. I want to get some insights out of it. Say there was and I'll jump back and I'll take in context the data on the offline data as well. So I have some offline orders here, which were made in store. What I've done is just trended this at a day level, for the month of May. And as you can see, there is, basis the historic data, we are getting a trend in the background that, this is what the offline orders were expected to be, basis a user's online behavior. But I see there is a spike or a shortfall. So now, as a marketing executive, you will ask why this particular spike happened or what really caused a shortfall to happen in some other case. And that is where analysts might take days or weeks because there is so much abundance of data. And that is where a feature like anomaly detection and contribution analysis really comes in. So anomaly detection, what it does is if any metric is beyond your thresholds, which are plus and minus 5% basis your historic data, it will just call out there's an anomaly which has been detected. And all I need to do is go in here and click on analyze. And what it will do is run a contribution analysis as to why this anomaly happened. I can click on this run button and basis the historic data in the account. It may take a couple of minutes. I've already generated a report of contribution analysis out here. And this is how it does. So we saw an anomaly on 12th of May that there were more offline orders than expected, and what the output comes is all the 4x, 5x in dimensions you were talking about. So a mixed dimensions are created, and there could be anything. People are coming more from a particular state, or people are coming more from an interaction channel or some marketing channel, or in pickups, in-store pickups are being done more. All these different dimensions are giving a reason of why this anomaly happened, and it also gives a statistical contribution score from 0 to 1, with 1 being this particular dimension contributed the most to that anomaly happening, and so on and so forth. And in the just a few minutes instead of days or weeks, you are able to create a great insight out, and this is then for the team to work upon and action upon by on this insight out.
I think this is really great, Rajat. I think at least I am impressed in terms of how we were able to quickly combine all these data pointers and run all these analysis on top of it, right? And I'm sure you guys might have seen something like this for very first time, because this is first of kind that we have seen, at least in the industry, and we are very much convinced in terms of these capabilities, and that's why we are also showcasing these functionalities and the options that you get with the platform, right? And even beyond that, right, while we've just talked about some of the limited things that we could cover in such a small span of time, and considering we are any which way stopping you from to have your dinner, so we not want to take more time, but there are a lot of other interesting things that are out there which are available as part of the customer journey analytics. And if you would want us to kind of cover that, we can probably do a custom session along with you to kind of walk you through, right? And even beyond that, now because we are any which way convinced in terms of the capability that Adobe is bringing on the table to all our customers, right? And that's why we are also very open to suggest it as one of the platforms that they can rely on for all their data needs, right? And that being said, we any which way are one of premium partner of Adobe, where we have implemented it not only once but multiple times, right? There are multiple success stories where we have implemented analytics solution for our customers, and they are using it. And now, any which way, we are empowered to kind of deliver it cross journey using customer journey analytics, right? And to kind of talk about why we have been successful doing this multiple time over, right? And I've kind of broken it down into 4 key things, right? First, and which is very important, right, is to understand. So analytics is never, while all of us look at analytics as one of the platform, but it is something which cuts across the organization, right? Analytics is linked with your marketing teams, it's linked to your product teams, it's linked to your transactions and leads and everything, right? CRM systems. So you need to have that breadth where you understand, how you can integrate with all the different systems which are out there. And we have that, the kind of services that we provide from acquisition to retention and all of that, right? So we have all that capability so that, we can provide all these functionality to you. The second part is, right, where we talked about that we have implemented it multiple times over, is basically we have created these replicable blueprints, which means that, we have a blueprint for retail, we have a blueprint for FSIs, we have blueprints for auto sector, which means, we can quickly take the best practices and implement it for you. So you do not have to put a lot of, you do not have to brainstorm that, what we should be doing. It's already thought, it's already tested on our, existing customers, and more importantly, we have perfected it. And by that, the thing that comes is now, because we have that clarity that, how do we deliver it? We know what are the things that we have to work on. It's very clear, and then, we can accomplish that in much smaller time, because we have these accelerators where, we can bring down the time to implementation to maybe half of what we would do with, without these implementation accelerators, right? And the last point which I would want to bring out, and which I really like about, partnering with Adobe, that whatever work that we have been doing, right, it's not like we are independently delivering all these things. All the work that we do, we very tightly work with the customer success team. There is consulting teams which are kind of, enabling us, and at the same time there are, sales team as well, who have delivered, who have actually made certain promises by, giving out the solution licenses to you. They are also, involved and chasing after us that, you actually have to fulfill and live up to that promise, right? So that's why, we have been one of the premium partner for Adobe, and we have been delivering and living up to the expectations. Right, so that's it from my side, and that's it. And thanks a lot for such wonderful demo. We kind of, very quickly, I think we did it 10 minutes early.
Yeah, I just want to say that as I promised, I ended just 10 minutes before our scheduled time. I really hope this session was insightful, and happy to catch on anything we discussed or we showcased, or anything else you want to know about the platform. Happy to discuss this, and thank you so much for being such a patient audience.
Thank you.